Welcome everyone. This is the first ever episode of Getting to Know. It's a new series which will involve us talking to a local individual involved with football, just to get to know them a little bit better, and get to know their journeys and insights around the game and where they would like the game to progress to. I'm really excited to announce that I've got Tony Anane today joining me. Tony, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's nice to be here.
Brilliant. Good to see you, Tony. So Tony, I mean, you're a bit of a tricky one for me to introduce, because you're just everywhere, Tony. You're doing so much, which is so brilliant. So just as a brief background to Tony, Tony's currently involved with Caddington Youth and Caddington Adults. He's involved as a coach. He's a treasurer for the club, and he's also on the club committee. And if you think he couldn't do anything else, he's also on the Beds Women's and Girls Committee. Which are you still there, Tony?
Yes, I was
Oh,
there.
brilliant! Yeah, brilliant. I think you just spoke.
There's only 24 hours in the day.
I'm sure there's 26 of you, Tony. Brilliant. So yeah, it's just going to be a nice, relaxed conversation. We're just going to get to know you a bit more. So we're going to go all the way back, Tony. So you're gonna go all the way back to us. So my first question for you is, what are your earliest memories of football?
I still remember it now. My first earliest member is I was at Willowfield Lower School, and we used to play. This is lower school, so we're talking about 7, 6, 7, 8, 9 age, and we played Heathfield School. I played in goal first time. And I think I let in about 8, 9 goals. And the person who scored the goals against me become my first best friend.
Wow.
And that was like, and then obviously went from lower school, and then I went to play for our teacher. I can't remember the name. He took me and my friend Terry to play for St Mary's School, which was in Dunstable, which is next to Streetfield, and started playing football for them, being Terry and I. And then we then played for a couple of years for them, and then went to Caddington, which was great. And we had a junior side, which was brilliant. We had my manager then was Danny O'Sullivan, who's unfortunately he's passed away, but he was a big influence on me in football. We had a great side at there. I mean, because a lot of us obviously was all from the village, and so obviously we did have a very good side with a few years. Some of the players went on to play county level, played some good football. Then I went from Caddington Youth, and then I sort of dropped out. No, I didn't drop out. I went with my friend Sean, and we played for St Mary's. We played for them for quite a few years, and then I went over to Flamstead. That was with Lee Bircham, obviously Mark Bircham, the footballer. His dad, he ran Flamstead, and he was a major influence. He changed the way I looked at football. He was a hard taskmaster. He was brutal, but that was a level you had to step up to. That was probably about 13, 14. So I was at upper school then, and the training was so hard. It was I've never known training like it at that age. And I was playing with people who were like county level, been signed to clubs like Cambridge and stuff like that. And then and I left there, sort of dropped off at football, because obviously when you're playing so much, you do get tired, and you've got other interests in life, obviously.
Yep, absolutely.
Then, which happens, and then got back into football again a couple of years later. Who did I play? I went back to Caddington for a couple of years, and then when I left Caddington, then I went over to Harpenden to play for a pub side called the Silver Cup. Which was the manager was Sid. He was good. He was a really good manager. We had a good times over there. Then went back to Caddington, and then I stayed in Caddington for a bit. Then I went to Slip End, which was Caddington. We had a really good side. It was a side. It's very rare when you get you get, like, say, a whole squad of players who lived in the same village.
Yeah.
The years were only there was probably a couple of years difference between each other, but we all knew each other, and it was such a great side. I mean, we were winning leagues, we were winning doubles, trebles. I think we even won a quadruple one.
So I've got a question then for you. So you obviously mentioned a lot about Caddington and your involvement within Caddington at the moment. So just for my knowledge and the viewers' knowledge. So Caddington is a small village
Just outside of
located
Luton.
just outside of Luton. Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
So have you lived there your whole life?
I'm 44. I've lived there for 41 years.
Wow. Okay. So talk me through your upbringing and growing up within the village and
Okay.
how do you feel that influenced you to where you are now?
Oh, a hell of a lot. I mean, it was because my mum and dad, I was adopted, sort of, well, fostered, adopted, and I was brought over here when I was 3.
Yeah.
Because mum and dad, they were in business and everything, and they were quite busy, whatever. And yeah, from then I was adopted. So obviously, throughout my whole life, I mean, there wasn't many black people in the village per se, so it was a bit of a strange one. But I never really had any like racial. I don't really had anything really, so it wasn't anything against me. It was like always Tony, Anthony, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like if I ever got into any trouble, it'd be like there was 2 white kids and 1 black kid. My mum would get a phone call. What have you been up to? Nothing. But no, like my whole life, it's like I've always been surrounded I've lived in the village. I mean, my mum and dad originally lived in London, in Tottenham. Go see him like summertime holidays and things like that. But yeah, just like my whole life, I've lived in this village. To be fair, which has been.
And you just mentioned around this sense of togetherness that you talked about within that adult Caddington team.
Yeah.
So do you feel like within your upbringing and you've also mentioned it and I've just looked at you and you're quite fond of it as I can see, and within the village, so do you think that plays a part into your identity as an individual? Do you think that?
Oh, definitely, because in the village everybody knows me. Everyone knows me. You know, I'd like to think I'm a really good person. I do. You know, it's a really good thing. You know, because I mean, in a tight community, especially living in a village, you know, you can either go one way, you can go the other. You know, and I think everyone knows me in the village. It's a really good thing to have. Sometimes it can be a pain, but sometimes it can be a good thing. You know, it's sort of yin and yang. You know, it's one of them ones. You know,
Absolutely.
But yeah, I love this village. I love living in the village. I think we're very fortunate. I'm very fortunate to be able to have grown up in a village somewhere in Caddington, which is, I think, it's a lovely, beautiful village, and yeah, it's just a beautiful place to live in, and I would say, it has made me the person I am today.
And I'm sure that as we go through your story so far, we'll see more and more of the trends of what you're talking about, how the village almost molded you, if you like, come through. So I'd just like to go back to, so you mentioned a few coaches there as you were talking about your journey so far. So for you as a youngster, would you say it was more so the game that you fell in love with, or was it the individuals that provided the opportunity to keep football entertaining and keep it fun and engaged that kept you as a youngster?
I would say it's probably 50-50, I would say, because as a young lad, you're always playing football at school, in the playground, and such and such. But when you start to get into a team and you have a manager and a coach, and they do believe in you, you do lean on them a lot, because they're the ones who are teaching the game. They're the ones who are putting their time out for you, and they're making you a better person.
How important is that for you?
Big time.
That a young person is someone that's there, that believes in them, that supports them.
Oh, big time. I mean, we have our girls team, Caddington Eagles. I mean, I have Paul Matthews, I have Anthony who helped me as well, and these girls, I mean, they're unbelievable, and they are just we build that. It's not just football. It's not just about football. It's about life skills. It's not molding. It is a little bit of molding them, because it's like I said to Paul. I said, I think a little bit of our attitude does go into them. It's that winning mentality. It's like we encourage all the time. It's all about encouragement, Because if you don't encourage people, then they won't come. And our girls, they're just, they're just brilliant. And I honestly do believe that if you've got talent, that's great, but you need that help to get that talent out.
Yeah.
And I would say with the girls, when I obviously Wildcats, when we started it and everything, obviously young girls they're a bit nervous, a bit like this now. Now I can't shut them up. And the great thing is, I think as well, I do believe it. I think it is what I've learned throughout the years. I practice onto them, and it's sometimes, yes, training can be hard because we had hard training, but with hard training, anything in life, if you put the work in, there are rewards there.
Absolutely, and I love that point that you mentioned, that actually, so I think we've got to be careful around what people might infer from the wording that we use from this, but it's not necessarily, like you said, molding, but it might be influencing. So
Yes,
from what you're talking about, is that everyone is their own individual person, which is a beautiful thing, and it should be cherished. But I think if you can take things, and if you can help implement and influence certain aspects of people's lives to help improve that, I think that's a massive thing.
oh,
And I think these bits that you're talking about, and you've got a massive smile on your face all the time, but especially when you talk about your coaches, when you talk about those coaches, I can almost see those like memories flicking back. And I think that's such a special thing, to be able to influence someone, especially a young individual, and give them like the skills and the life lessons like you've had yourself, to grow up, to hopefully succeed. So wow. Let's go. So I just got to move on a little bit then. So I know we've obviously kind of tracked forward and back a little bit, but so what were your first involvements? So we're coming out from the playing side. So obviously you've had a good playing career. So how did you then develop into going into a different aspect of the game?
Well, I sort of looked at it. It was coaching wasn't really in my mind, but it was like I think everyone sort of thought I would go into it. I didn't really think I sort of would, but it was just, I don't know. I did my level 1, and then I sort of forgot about it and everything, and then it was our Sunday team. It sort of like, you have a cycle, don't you, with a team that sort of went a bit flat, and then obviously I was asked to come into it, and I was like, okay. I mean, obviously the first year, it was the worst year of my life. Obviously, it was just like it was like a lot of my friends were leaving the team. It was hard when it was getting beaten week in, week out with the other one. It was the first 6 months was horrible. It was really horrible, but you got to persevere. You have to persevere. You can't. I'm not a quitter. You have to keep going. And we kept going, and it was getting really bad. And then a good friend, well, he is now a very good friend of mine, Richard Dickey Smith. He phoned me up out of the blue, and he said, would you like me to help you and come in and everything? And he had been in football. He's been in football for a long time. And I would say he's not just, it isn't just a coach, he's a good friend. And again, that's through football.
Yeah.
Again, it's a really good thing. I mean, like I said, coaching, I don't know if I really wanted to go into coaching or not. I don't know if I stumbled into it or fell into it.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
It wasn't something that was on my mind to coach. It really wasn't. And now I'm doing it. It is 24/7, but it is the best times I have is when I'm out there coaching. When you're out in the field and you're coaching them, and they do something. When they do something right, say girls or boys, and it works, you're like, wow. And when you've done that thing on the training ground, and then you go onto the pitch and they do it, it's
No better feeling.
Oh, there's no better feeling. There honestly isn't. It really is. It's my happy place, I would say.
Yeah.
I would say.
So can we just zoom into those 6 months, because I'm really interested to hear about this. So you've obviously, it's gone a bit stale. You've asked to come in as a manager for an adult team, well, I suppose, was it? Yeah.
Yes.
So talk to me about that, because we talk about the game, and I just asked you a question around what kept you involved with football, what kept you engaged with it, and you said it was 50-50, the people that were there and obviously the enjoyment of the game itself. Now, for a lot of people, like the wide football community, it'd be, it's black or white, winning and losing. If you're winning, you're having a good time. If you're losing, you're not. So what was it about those 6 months that kept you going? Because at the end of the day, you're not paid to do this. There's no pressure on you to do this. This is a completely voluntary thing. So what is it about those 6 months that kept you involved rather than just saying, you know what, this isn't for me. This is taking up my time. I'm losing every week. So what was it that kept you in there?
Football. Belief. You
Yeah.
have to believe in you. If you don't have self-belief, then it's a terrible thing, because honestly, it took me to dark places. It was like the weekend was coming up. I was like, oh no, have I got a team together? Have I got this? I mean, sometimes I had to cancel games. It was like I couldn't do it, but it was just perseverance. And I think that comes from what I learned years ago with the likes of Lee Bircham, even Eddie Tracy. There was a lot of people from the influence from the back of from when I was a youth, which I still take on today.
Yeah.
And you have to. Honestly, I've never been so disheartened, and it was breaking my heart. And I was talking to like my sort of like a doctor sort of dad, John Edwards. I said, I don't know what to do. You just keep going. You've got to keep going. And I said, I will. And we kept going. And I always thought there's that little gleam of light there somewhere. It will turn. You have to, if you don't believe in yourself, then what's the point? You have to have self-belief. You have to have belief. And I kept going. I mean, I could have quit. I could have just quit and gone, that's it, I'm not going to do it again, never again. But just kept going. You have to keep going in anything. If you keep going and believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing. And a little bit of luck, I met someone, and after that we have been a very successful side. And from that success with Caddington Club, we have rebuilt the youth. We rebuilt the youth. We've now got, I think, about 6, 7. We've got 3 girls teams, 4, 5 boys teams, Saturday team, adult, and 2 Sunday adult teams.
Wow. So
And
yeah. Carry on. Sorry, carry on.
And I would like to say, my friend Dave Bilston, he was brilliant with me. He's the secretary for the youth, and we've got a good connection. We work well together. And like I say, it's like I said, from success, you build on success. And if I'd have dropped out 6 months ago, then I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I really believe that. I wouldn't be, the stuff I'm doing now, I wouldn't, if I'd have quit 6 months, in that 6 months, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here talking to you right now.
You just got to persevere with it, and like you said, there's always that little bit of light, isn't there?
Of course, there all is.
So I'm really interested now to hear about around. So you've gone through a really tough time, and you've met an individual who's come in and really, and you've hit it off basically. You really worked really well together. So let's talk to me about these connections and how important are these connections that you build with people within the football community.
Team. Even just because you've got a team, say 11 aside, 7 aside, whatever. Team. It's always about team. If I haven't got my backroom staff with lots of the Eagles, Caddington Girls, Paul Matthews and Anthony Burton, they do a lot of the stuff which takes a lot of stress off me. I can deal with the Saturday mornings. The same with Richard. He, with the adult side, he does a lot. I do a lot. We both work well. Dave, he does a lot for the youth. His club his youth secretary. Without a team in the background, you won't do nothing, because all parents and everyone all they see what goes on the pitch. What goes on behind is there's so much work. It's work. It's like I said to you, my phone on a week, it could be, I have emails, text messages, WhatsApp groups. It's teamwork, and it's down to Terry. She's our bar manager at the club. She helps from the tea ladies to the groundsman, Tony. He comes second in an award last year for a pitch. I talk to everyone at the club. Anyone can talk to me. I talk to them. It's all about team. If you haven't got a team around you, you can't do nothing.
So how do you create that culture then? Because you're obviously you're a very busy man. You've got you're always on the go. We always joke about you having two jobs. One you being your actual work job that pays you, and then the second being football. But so how do you create a culture when you've got so many teams, you've got so many bits going on, you're coaching all the time? How do you create a culture to where anyone from the foundation phase coaches to the adult teams can anyone can come and talk to you? How do you create
being open?
That?
It's being open. It's not being negative. They can come to me. I'm always open. If someone's got a problem, I mean, one of my other coaches, he phoned me the other week, had a bit of a problem. I said, don't worry, I'll sort it out. It's being sorted. It's just being open and friendly, It's just it's not being big-headed. It's not being putting yourself on a pedestal. This is it. That's me. Even if I've got a weekend off, I will go and watch. I'll come up to the club, or I haven't got a game on till 11:30 or whatever. I got the club and watch other people's games. So I'm always about people. My phone's always here. I'm always about talking to the coaches. All the players know. Everyone knows who I am, and it's just the way I work. It's openness. I'm an open book. If people want something, speak to me. I'm about. I mean, I was talking to one of my other coaches the other day. It was last Sunday, and he was going to leave last season, and I actually bumped into him. See, again, living in the village, you're always going to bump into people. And I bumped into him, and I said, "Look, I don't want you to go." I said, "Your team's not bad. You're doing all right. You're doing really, really well." And now he's got involved with another coach, and their team's flying. And I said to him, if you've got any other issues, just look. I said, I'm about. I said, just speak to me. I am busy, but I'll make time. Always make time. Always make time.
And I think that just, that's a credit to yourself, because I think it, it shows how much you care. Because I think, it's easy for someone to say that they care, and, to inadvertently, they might say, oh, I'm always here, but they never really make themselves available. But, but I think you show how much you care there. And I think that's such an important thing, that, even if you have got a bit of spare time, or one of the weekends that you might have off, but you're still there, you are showing that, I am busy, I've got things to do, but at the end of the day, that's not going to affect my values, that's not going to affect my own philosophy around things. Because I think there's a bit of a stigma, isn't there? I don't know whether you've seen the Tottenham documentary on Amazon around, Jose Mourinho, and how they kind of, there was a shift in the culture from Pochettino to Mourinho.
Yes.
So I think there's a stigma around, if you want to be a really successful, high performing team, and you've got to have this bit of arrogance and nastiness about you. But actually, if that's going to compromise your values and your philosophies, then it's probably not. It's not worth it, is it?
No, yes. If you want, like you just said, that arrogance. I don't have arrogance. It's not. I don't have arrogance. I don't believe in that. I believe that you've got to self-believe. I believe I'm a good coach. I believe I'm a good manager. I do believe that. If I feel that rubs off onto other people, I think that's a good thing, because it's not being cold. Because I'm not a cold person. I am a warm-hearted person, and I think people do realise that, and they can come up and talk to me anytime they want.
Yeah.
Anytime they want. I mean, I have parents. I mean, it's like with the parents. I speak to the parents all the time. You have to have a connection. You have to have a connection, even with the lads. I mean, obviously, with today's social media, we've got WhatsApp groups, we have this groups, we have that. And, I mean, sometimes, if we've had a bad game on the adult group, I will say, I'm not happy, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of that sentence, we go again next week. It's not saying, it was like we had a bad result last week, and I was sitting in a changing room, and I actually turned around to them. I said, there's no point in me shouting my head, getting angry, because that's not going to get me anywhere. I said, look, we'll just dust ourselves down and we'll go again. Now, I know some managers who will just go off their heads, they'll scream, they'll shout. You're not going to get into their heads, because all they'll do is just shut off. Simple as. And that's like with Mourinho. I think a lot of them just shut off, didn't they? Pochettino was very warm, wasn't he? Very.
Yeah.
He was very open. And again, it's like with my girls. I said to my coaches the other week, I said, them girls, said they will run through walls for me.
Yeah.
Simple as. And that's the reason is because I'm not cold and warm. I have a laugh with them, but when we've got to work, we work.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I love that because you talk about a really important thing. It's really got me thinking now around, this connection. And maybe it was a bad example of using, Mourinho as such a hostile
Yeah.
person, because I am a big admirer of him. But I think that, what you talked about around, that line between arrogance and self-belief it's a really important line, because I absolutely agree with you. You should have belief in your own abilities. And I think naturally through your own belief and your own confidence, and that will spark the confidence in your players. But then again, I think that confidence can only be sparked once you've got a connection, because I think there can be that missing line where if you're going in and you think, what, I'm this, I'm that, and that, then the players will look at you and think, to a point where they can't even connect with you, because they think you're up here and they're down here. We're all here, whether you
We're all
like
the
it or not.
same.
Absolutely.
We're all the same. All the same. And again, it's like when I was doing Wildcats, it's like I'm obviously learning a lot. When you talk to children, I crouch down and talk to them, so there's eye
Yeah.
contact. There's no point standing there, arms crossed like that. So negative.
Yeah.
Be open, and because obviously a couple of coaches have helped us do Wildcats, and I have said to them, I said, when you talk to the girls, because some of them, it ranges from 4 or 5 upwards. I said, go down to their level, speak to them.
Yeah.
Use your eyes. Be open, because when you're standing there like that, that's not good. It's so negative. It really, really is negative. It's just be open, be friendly, smile a lot. I like to, I do like to smile. You need to make people feel comfortable, and once you've got that connection, you build off that. You really do. You build. It's like I said. It's being cold it's not that. I don't think it's the right way to be. Yes, okay. In high level, everyone's different, aren't they? Everyone's
Yeah.
different. But I think in me, I think you just have to be open. You have to be open and have to be warm.
Yeah.
Being cold it's not a good thing, because, like you just said, people won't buy into it. They have to buy into what you're doing.
Mm.
And if they don't buy into it, then it's not going to work. It isn't going to
Absolutely.
work.
And I think, like you said, the most important thing is they've got to buy into you as a person. You've really, like you said, you've got to be open, you've got to be warm, you've got to show that they can buy into you as a person. They can, get to know you, and really get to identify with yourself. I just want to stick around the girls' football then, just because I've heard the stories here and there from people, but so Caddington didn't actually have a girls set up before
No?
before yourself. So talk me through the story. How did that come about?
Okay. Okay. So a few of my friends have got daughters. One of my friends, Duncan, his daughter, because they live over sort of Milton Keynes way. So I used to watch her now and then play football. I was my mind a bit. And then my friend lives over in Sweden, and I went over to see, because I go to Sweden quite a lot. And his daughter, she plays football, and she's quite good. Quite good football. I was watching it, and it's massive over in Sweden.
Mm.
Women's football I didn't realise how massive it is. And then obviously with the adult side, we was doing well. And then Terry, our barman, she was going, "What about doing women's football?" And I was like, "Oh, no." I was like that. And then obviously Mark from the FA, for some strange reason, it was like, obviously with the adult side, we'd done so well. And I was thinking, right, what can we do? And then it was Wildcats. For some strange reason, I've met up with Mark from the FA, and he helped us a lot through it. Me, Dave, Dave Bilston and we sort of got involved in it, and I was starting to go down the FA a lot, meeting Mark and everything. There's blah 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 blah, and we started to set it up. And I was like, well, we haven't got. What it was that I was seeing other teams having girls football. I was thinking, we've been here at Caddington for 40 odd years this year, and I'm thinking we've got no girls football here. And then it was like, okay, we got in the Wildcats. We started doing the flyers and everything like that. Blah blah blah. And then the first Saturday we started, 3 girls turned up. We were there. It was, and obviously it was Dave Wilson, Paul Matthews, and I. So we're sitting there. 3 girls had turned up. We're like, okay, sort of chatting about women's, because Paul Matthews, he's big into women's football, and we're just chatting away. And then the second week, a couple more come up, blah blah blah, and then we actually extended it because it was only like a, was it 2-month thing, something like that. But by the end of it, I had to go to Williford Lower School, which is sort of just around the corner from us, because we've got like a tots thing there.
Yep.
And I was running late, and I walked in through the club, and I looked through the window, and we must have had about 45 girls playing football. Wow. It was like, I was like, what have we done with creating monsters? Oh no, what have we done? This is mental. And in the end, I mean, fair play to everyone. We've got 3 teams.
Yeah.
We've got the Kites, Eagles, and we've got the under 11s. And from that, it's just built. But no, I mean, like I said, I love girls' women's football. I think it will be one of the biggest. Isn't it the fastest team sport in the UK at the moment, or something like that?
Okay.
It's amazing, and like I say, these girls we're just amazing. And like I say, I like, again, team. It's team. They're such great girls together, and if it wasn't for the likes of Paul and Anthony, who helped me as well, we wouldn't be where we are now. I mean, it's just brilliant. I mean, you've got James and Stuart who run the Kites. They're doing okay. We've got some great players. I mean, we've even got players going into academies now as well.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit more then around. So I just want to explore this idea of opportunity and equal opportunity, because I know, obviously, with my involvement within the ACC, which is the Advanced Coaching Centre, which is one of the steps within the England talent pathway for females. I know, obviously, that that currently there's a number of girls from Caddington sides that have gone, are either in the process or have gone through the process of an ACC. So this idea around talent and helping, where talent meets opportunity is what I like to call it. So and obviously yourself, that you said you kind of stumbled into girls football, but actually by setting up these opportunities and by harnessing this talent, you've given girls the opportunity now to go on and potentially firstly enjoy football, but actually some of them might be able, have the potential to go on and represent their country or at county level, which is phenomenal. To go from, you're talking about having 3 girls turn up from Wildcats to the possibility of individuals going to represent their country. I think, sometimes I think, the steps that we take as individuals within clubs, or when we think we're doing something small as a program, we sometimes never really see the final product because of that. I think sometimes within football, and I think everyone will back me on this in around that it's a very fast-paced game. Results now, and you're winning now. Yeah, keep it that. If you're not winning, we've got to change something. But actually, if you persevere with it, like this is what you mentioned on a number of occasions, from going to 3 girls to then going on to having girls with the potential to go and play for England is just huge, isn't it?
Yeah, I tell you what, sometimes it's like the other day, I sort of sat back the other day thinking about it. I was thinking, the work we've done, it's unbelievable. And I say to the coaches, I said, look, it's you guys. I said, pat yourselves on the back. I really do feel grateful for these guys, because if it weren't for all the guys there, these girls wouldn't have the opportunity.
Yeah,
they really
100%.
wouldn't.
100%.
They really wouldn't. And it's like I said, I mean, it's unbelievable what we've done in the last 3 or 4 years to where we are now. Sometimes you've got to pinch yourself. Honestly, you have to think, wow, how have we done this? How has this happened? And I just love it. I really do. I'm amazed by it. It's in the 3 or 4 years. I mean, again, we're still a young club compared to the likes of, say, Bedford. They've got a huge collection. Your Celtics, Woburn, Wavendon.
Yeah.
They've been around a long time. We're playing catch up. I like to think we're sort of, we was there, we're sort of there.
Yeah.
But that step's still up there. We've still got to work.
So there's still room to improve.
We're always working, but there's always something. Football, as you know, it never stops, does it? It just doesn't stop. We're always. I feel I'm never the finished product. I'm always learning.
Yeah.
I'll be learning to the day I die. I do believe
I love that. I love that.
I'm forever learning. I take things off people, sort of like a magpie, you know. I mean, I've got things. I've joined groups, say like on Facebook, football coaching stuff. You know, on a Saturday morning before Wildcats or training, or on a Friday night, I'm there, sort of jotting things down. How can I change it? And then I'll get the basis of it, and then I'll try and change it around myself.
Yeah.
So I'm always thinking about it. It's like, well, what can we do? How can we improve? It was like last week against Leighton. Yes, it was a good game. I've told the girls that. I said, you had a brilliant game, but there's a couple of things, and they always know that. They always know that. I said, we've got to change this, change that. You're always learning. No one's never. If anyone says they're the finished product, they're lying, or they shouldn't be in the game, because you are always learning. You're always learning things, and if we keep doing that, every training session, every game, anything we do with them, all of the blokes, we're always learning, because I'm learning off them and they're learning off me.
Yeah, that's a brilliant way to look at it. I'm reading a book at the moment, and in it they mentioned this idea around marginal gains, and again, if we refer back to what we were just saying about, you know, everyone wants results within football, they want it to be quick, you know, not really willing to hang about, but actually, I was reading something, you know, let's say for example, you see your players 35 times for training. Within those training sessions and, you know, matches, if you count those as well, within that adds up to seeing your players, you know, 70 odd times for, you know, possibly 3-4 hours a week, right? If you can make them 1% or even less, a 0.5% better in that goes from, you know, if you imagine right at the beginning from 0 to becoming 70 times better, which actually, if you look at it across the year, if someone said to you, your team will go from whatever it is now to getting 70% better, me personally, I'd bite their hand off. I'd be like, oh my goodness, what? But I think again, it's about our own expectations, and like you said, with this idea of perseverance, sticking with it, but never losing sight of the bigger picture of where it will take you. And I think that's just speaking volumes in terms of, you know, everything within your story of going from, you know, from everything you went through, going from as a youngster, going through those teams, playing, not really wanting to do it, having that, you know, that period where it was very dark when you first started coaching, to where you are now as an individual, but also setting up girls football, having 3 girls turn up, and then to what your girls setup is now. But then the last point around it is that actually you've got to a point here now, but the thing that I really like about what you're speaking to me with is that we want to keep going, we want to keep learning, we want to keep developing.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to move on now. I want to talk a little bit around the future of football. So, I mean, obviously, you've spoken a lot around, you know, how you're very keen to keep learning and things. But we're going to do a little bit of learning off you now, Tony. So, as a younger individual, and I know there'll be a lot of people from the next generation coming through involved within football in, you know, many aspects. What advice would you give them?
Good. That is a really good question. That is. Just keep going. Just believe in yourself. Have belief.
Yeah.
Honestly, just as I look at it now, football. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of money washing around in it. There's this and that and everything. But as a grassroots, just believe in yourself. Just believe. You did. It's belief. If you have that belief, it's like I said. I mean, I had some girls at Wildcats, and everyone laughs and they sort of say, "You're very patient, a very patient person." You know, when I'm with the adults, I'm a different person, even with the girls. But when you're doing that, when you've got girls there who are sort of nervous and they're just kicking the ball like that, and people, and you like that, you think, okay, we'll keep going. by the end of it, they're kicking the ball straight. They're going in for a tackle. They're being brave. It's just getting them to believe in themselves. It is so much self-belief. Football at the moment, I don't know. I think we're in a good place. There's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
I think we need to get into schools more. We definitely do. From what because I'm involved with I'm involved with a teacher who's involved with the whole Bedfordshire schools. Will Wheeler, he's a brilliant person. He's really, really good. I'm getting involved with him now. I do believe we have to get more into the schools.
Yeah.
Or to get them at an early age. Because I'm talking to, I went to schools. I've spoken to some girls, and I said, do you play football at school? And they said, not really. We don't do much sport. I'm like, what? I said, that's a bit really. What? You don't really play football that much? No, we might do half an hour or something, or 15 minutes, something like that. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Football. Women's football's on TV now, on terrestrial TV. They get to watch it. Obviously, you've got Sky Sports and whatever, blah blah blah. But if we don't get into the schools, the Wildcats thing is a brilliant thing. If we don't get them early, all they're going to do is sit on the sofa with their iPads. I don't want that. I want them out in the field, kicking a ball, making friends. If we can get them from that early age, and slowly move up. When I was at school, we were playing football. We had football all the time. We were playing against other schools, against the likes of Van Dyke, Northfields, Queensbury. We had county. You could play for your county. We had stuff like that. And I'm asking them. They're going, "No, we don't really do that much at school." And that annoys me. That does. That really makes me angry because we should be doing more. We should be doing more, and I think we can do more. We can always do more.
Well, I think you mentioned it, didn't you, around how you first fell in love with the game, and actually now you talk about that, it's really giving it perspective, because you spoke about how you came through and you first fell in love with the game at school, and it was 50-50. The special connection that you make with the coaches or whoever's running the sessions, but actually them helping you fall in love with it. And again, you talk about it's becoming more and more televised, which is absolutely brilliant. I'm so pleased to see the women's game growing the way it is. But actually, to a young girl who's watching this on TV, and you know what you're like when you're little, you're like, wow, the TV is like a magical world, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think actually, if they're not exposed to that, like you mentioned, within they don't have the opportunity. Again, we talk about equal opportunity. If they're not having the opportunity to play at school, or have the opportunity to fall in love with the game, or even try it and see if it's for them, then how can we expect that actually the TV coverage to do its justice? Because it's brilliant having it there, but then actually helping.
Is that money coming? The thing for me is, okay, Barclays Bank, they put money into the WSL, which is really, really good. But is that money coming down to grassroots? And if it's coming down to grassroots, right in there, there's a lot of money now in women's football. We're custodians. That's all we are. We are custodians of the game. We have to get out there and implement it, and get out there, get them. Wildcats, brilliant thing. I think Wildcats, absolutely brilliant thing. I think that's a great thing from the FA, something which is really, really good for them. But we do need to get into the schools and even more clubs and everything. We need to make it more accessible to people. Yes, sometimes you've got that postcode lottery, haven't you? Which is not nice, I don't think. But you need to get into that. And again, if we can get into schools and get them to play football, it stops. Say inner city life. I am originally from Tottenham, so I do know what it's like in London.
Yeah.
Get them if you can get into the schools and get involved with them, it could possibly help them stop going into gangs. Going into this, stop going into that. Because as coaches, again, we're just custodians of the game. Let's sell the game to them. It's not football. It's not just about football. It's not just about that round thing, lever full of air. It's about teamwork. It's about making friends, having them experiences. Winning, losing. It's it's life skills. It really is. I mean, winning's great. Everyone loves to win. It's brilliant. But when you lose, it's not nice. But it's learning. It's learning from that.
Yeah.
And again, I like to say, with the girls, we've got a couple of girls who are not as strong as our other girls. But again, these girls who are stronger, they help the girls who are not as strong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, life skills. It's not just about football. It's like encouragement. It's about encouragement. If we can, if you could bottle that up and sell it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we'd all be millionaires. But it's again, like I said, it's getting into the schools. If we can get into the schools, even the youth clubs, if they still do youth clubs, things like community centres, people who are underprivileged, let's get out there. Because when you're out in that, like I said, when you're out in that field, it's a happy place. It really is. It honestly is. So I think we as Custodians again, we need to do more ourselves. We do need to do more. Every day we have to do more. Simple as.
I love that. I love that phrase, custodians of the game. That's brilliant. So I'm just gonna move on because you've talked. We've talked around the future of football and had this idea of the opportunities and give these opportunities. We've spoken in detail around girls. Because of both our backgrounds within the girls game, but actually around picking not picking, but helping an underrepresented group find those opportunities and become equally represented as they should be, because they are the ones that are enjoying the game, which is brilliant. So just around the culture then, and this idea of team, what would you envisage as an individual? So let's imagine that in 20, 30 years that you're walking through Caddington, and there's loads of teams training. What culture would you like to see? What would the feeling be for you?
I'd like to feel that we've done our work. I'd like to think that we put the footings in,
Yeah.
as we sort of say. We put the hard work's there. We still got to work hard.
Yeah.
Like I say, 20 years time, I'd like to think, yeah, that's brilliant. We've done that. We've achieved that.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to. Yeah, definitely. That's what I'd like to think. I'd like to think that we've done the work that we've done now is setting ourselves up for the next 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. I'm talking continuously. I mean, yeah, that's the way I look at it. I would definitely like to think that. I'd like to be standing there on the side of a pitch going, I remember that kid. I said, I remember that kid was young, couldn't kick a ball for love or money. That's what I'd like us to be here. I'd like to in the next 20, 30 years that the work what we've done now is progressing and it's still working.
I think that's a fair answer, mate. So as you know, we're currently, I think we just had the first week of Black History Month, so a week into Black History Month. It's a very special time for everyone. And as a part to celebrate Black History Month, I think it'd be fitting if we had a little segment, around its history and its meaning within our interview today. So. So as an individual, Tony, as a Black individual, what does Black History Month mean to you?
So, Raheem Sterling, haven't you? Marcus Rashford. I mean, Rashford phoning up Boris Johnson. That's just like, would that have happened 20 years ago?
And I think that's a great point. I think that just that's a credit to not only the Black community but the football community and everyone. The fact that we've got a young Black footballer in Marcus Rashford that has shown that he's risen to his responsibilities not only as a footballer but as a role model, and as an individual that I'm sure that many people that are listening to this have seen the documentary around Marcus Rashford growing up and this whole scheme around helping to feed kids that might not have the privilege of having a meal, having 3 meals a day. And then I think that's an absolute credit. And I think that is what
Sterling as well.
About.
I mean,
Absolutely.
What he does. I mean, I do know some footballers. A lot of footballers do a lot of stuff that we don't know about.
Yeah.
which never comes to light. But like I said, Rashford is just, and so they've just opened it up, haven't they? They really have, and it's credit to them. I mean, how old are they? Early 20s, unbelievable, and they're doing things like that. That's just
it's incredible, and I honestly think this is the real essence of Black History Month, is the ability to reflect on these individuals that, you know, and again, it's so recent, you know, going back, I want to say even 70 years, that if Marcus Rashford and Raheem Sterling were in that part of time, then they, you know, there's a very big chance that they might have been forgotten about. You know, they might have been another one that wasn't written down in the history books. But fortunately, we're at a point now where, you know, we are able to celebrate this. And like you said, it's so important to be able to celebrate this
definitely.
within the current day. But yeah, I mean, you know, and like we talked about this idea of, you know, opportunity, but I think there's a big part of a role model there. And I think that, you know, you mentioned it within those coaches that you had as an individual that helped you fall in love with the game. Actually, if we look at, you know, for you know, anyone, but specifically, you know, a young black child within, you know, the streets of West London, for example, similar to Raheem Sterling, going from living a mile, I think it was about 3 miles or something from Wembley, to actually, you know, absolutely tearing the stage up at
and he's
Euro
got a tattoo of
2020.
Wembley Stadium, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. How inspirational is that? How brilliant is that? And
belief.
Absolutely love that. Absolutely love.
I mean,
like
I said, let's celebrate this month. You know.
Yeah.
Let's shout out from the rooftops about it. You know.
Yeah.
Let's do it. It's the right thing. I mean, I was thinking about the interview, and I said to some of my friends, I was thinking about it, and I said, you know what? I said, it's an honour. It is such an honour. I said, me, little old Tone from Caddington Village, and they're asking me to do this, and you know, I thank you guys for
Tony. I think you're an absolute credit to the community, and I think the fact that, you know, you will have, you know, you'll be a role model to so many young people, but I think you'll have young black individuals that, you know, this idea of seeing is believing, and I think, you know, got people like yourselves there doing all the great work that you are, that, you know, you're just going to continue to transform people's lives. But before we get too soppy, Tony, I have another question. So, you know, we've got this, you know, we've got this idea of Black History Month, and it's a month of celebration, it's a month of reflection, but I also think it's a month of education.
Yes.
So what advice, so, you know, we talk a lot around this culture, you know, we mentioned around that you've got going at Caddington, and this idea of teamwork. What advice would you give to, you know, anyone listening or anyone in general? How could they use Black History Month to create a more inclusive culture?
I'll tell you what, I would say read, watch the stuff, analyze it yourself. If we're talking about coaching, I'd actually say even if you had 10 minutes time, speak to your girls, speak to your boys, see what they feel about it. Because it's all good us telling them. Ask them, what do they think about it? Ask them. I mean, I definitely will have I'll definitely have a 10 minute, well, possibly more of a chat with the girls over this month about Black history. It's a shame that it's a shame that we haven't got time, because I'll take them to a museum or something. To actually see what people have gone through. I mean, definitely, I would definitely say to coaches, read some stuff this month, water it down to what you think is good for the girls or good for the boys, whatever. Have a chat with them. Just talk to them.
Absolutely.
See how they feel. It's all good us saying this, that. Ask them a question. What do they think about Black History Month? What does it mean to them? Because they will answer. And if we don't ask them, then we won't know what they're thinking. We just will not know. So education, educating over this month.
Love that. I think that's a great message. Wow. I have got a question for you that we've had a few that have been sent in towards your way. First one, so we're going to go all the way back again. Who inspired you as a youngster? I mean, you know, we just spoke around Marcus Rashford and Raheem Sterling for possibly, you know, the younger, you know, well, younger individuals of this generation. But going back, who was it for you?
What, in coaching or football?
Anything, mate.
Oh, my inspirations. That's such a good question. That is. I would say at a young age, as a footballer, John Barnes
Yeah.
and Peter Shilton, because he's playing goal.
Yeah, yeah.
Peter Shilton, Chris Woods, and John Barnes was my heroes. They were my heroes in football. That goal that John Barnes scored against Brazil.
Yeah, yeah.
He was unbelievable. And I actually got to meet him once. I was so
Did you?
I don't get starstruck. I was like, oh my god, this is John Barnes.
I love that.
Coaching. As a coaching, that's really good. On the grassroots level, I'd probably say it's probably about 3 or 4. Danny O'Sullivan, because he was my first manager I really got to see. He really inspired me. He really was a great bloke. John Edwards, he's all like my dad. Because he was tough. He was a tough coach. He was like he would tell you off you if you was doing something wrong. He would have a go. Yeah. Lee Bertram, he opened my mind up to football. Really did. Yeah, they were my. I'll tell you what, I did love Johan Cruyff. He was something really great. The likes, I'll tell you what, it was the Dutch team, Ruud Gullit, Mark Van Basten, them, but they were phenomenal for me. That was a brilliant, great side. That was
Some brilliant football kits in there, aren't there, as well? I'm a bit of a football kit fanatic. Yeah,
oh, I've got the Dutch one. I've got that kit. I've got the orange. I've got the orange shirt now. A replica of it.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely love.
Yeah, they were my big inspirations. Who else? Professional. I'd say that's about it, probably. I mean, like I said, as in coaching side, there was like 3 or 4 coaches who did inspire me, because I never thought about coaching. And honestly, it was never on my radar. But when I look now, and again, I'd say Alex Ferguson as well, because I mean, everyone always thinks, yes, he was at Man United. It's what he done at Aberdeen as well, to beat a Real Madrid side back then as well. That was, and to break up the Celtic Rangers thing. The man's phenomenal, isn't he? I mean, if you look at his records, it was like, I think it's very rare he was not in the top 5. His teams were finishing in leagues, were they? If you have a look at it, I mean, the man's phenomenal. To build teams, then go again, rebuild again, then rebuild again. That's just phenomenal. It's unbelievable. But like I
suppose it's interesting, isn't it? Because I mean, you obviously, as a player, you fall in love with the game itself. You fall in love with, potentially the coaches that you have, and then you're so engrossed within that kind of aspect of it, and then coming out of playing, sometimes you still might be playing, but then then falling in love with coaching. And the thing that I love about coaching is that it's beautiful to see that we've all got these role models that have gone right to the highest of playing, but actually a lot of the time for coaching it's local individuals. And it just shows how worthwhile the jobs that you guys within grassroots. It's so special, isn't it?
It's unbelievable, because obviously I didn't, like I said, Danny O'Sullivan, and there was Roger Johnson. They were like the first people, and it was like, and then we to get our kit, we had to pick stones out this field for someone, and he paid for our kit, and then having a kit, and that inspires you when you put on a lovely kit and things like that, and they believed in us, but they're not getting paid for it. We're doing it because they love it, and people like inspire me. People like that really do inspire me, because if you can go out your own way to do something, and you see the rewards for it, honestly, it's a good thing. It is a good thing. I mean, inspiration. I would definitely say my coaches. I say as players, I thought, John Barnes was what he was. He was one of my heroes, and I say Peter Shilton, 100 and so many caps when he was absolutely brilliant. Chris Woods, he was great. He was Peter Shilton's understudy, wasn't he? He could never get past him, could he? Until he retired. That's my inspiration. And again, I'd like to say Cruyff, because I thought Cruyff, he actually changed football, didn't he? he was just phenomenal, wasn't he? I mean, Barcelona, what he done at Barca, wasn't it? Was Ajax, and then went to Barcelona, and that philosophy's still there now, isn't it? His philosophy,
absolutely,
is still there, and
it's
that's
like
legacy. That's again,
right.
That would be like my philosophy. That would be it. I'd hope that would come through.
There we go. Right, this is the last question and the killer question.
Okay.
What legacy do you hope to leave within the football world, Tony?
God, that is such a good question. What would I like to? I'd like to think legacy that the teams that we have built and the teams that are going to come through. I hope the legacy is that we at Caddington that we play good football, attacking football, played in the right way. I'd like to think that football. What I'd leave is that people play football in the right way, and a good way.
So how would you like to be remembered as an individual?
As an individual, oh dear, how would I like to be? That's such a good question. I'd like people to think I was a good person. I was a good coach, a good manager, just a good person. I'd like to think that people would think that I'm good. I'd like people to think, yeah, Tony, great guy, great person, loved his football.
About, we talked about this player connection and getting people to buy into you as a person. I think that answer just does yourself justice. Tony, it's been an absolute pleasure. Me personally talking, I think you're an absolute inspiration. I think you're a role model. It's so inspiring to see an individual like yourself making so many good things happen and positively transforming so many lives. Yeah, I've absolutely loved speaking to you for the last hour. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that I haven't rattled on too much.
No, it's been great, honestly. Brilliant. Thank you for asking me to do this. Little old me, Caddington Sports Social Club, and we're here doing interviews like this. This is like, wow, I'm blown away by it. No, but thank you for having me, to be fair. And I hope that people listening to this can try and get in contact with me, whatever they want to, and
100%, yeah, 100%.
And we can, if they want to come down to Caddington and have a chat or speak to me on the phone or email me. Like I say, I'm always about it. It's not just about Caddington; it's about football, the whole football world. Like again, we're custodians and we're here to look after the game.
I absolutely love that saying. Right, on that note, we've got a few opportunities to make the listeners aware. So we're very, very pleased to open up applications for the Inclusion Advisory Group. If you visit Bedfordshire's FA website or social media or anything, you'll be able to see the new recruitment pack regarding the IAG. If you have, an interest or a desire to help and make an impact within the football community from an inclusion perspective, we would encourage you to apply. And it'd be, it's great to not only the individuals that will form the group, but just building that network, like you said, getting that connections together, as Tony mentioned before. So that'd be brilliant. The second thing is that we have still a number of opportunities for Black and Asian coaches that are looking to be mentored. If you're interested in any kind of mentorship, I will put my email up on the screen now. Please do get in contact, and it's another support mechanism that we can use to support you through. And the last thing is that if you've been inspired, and I'm sure you have been from Tony's story today, and you're looking to get involved within football, then please do email us at support@bedfordshirefa.com. We're more than happy to help you help and support you in any way that we can, and we just want to get more individuals loving the game, impacting people and helping society. I think that's what it's all about.
Definitely.
Tony, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. It's been an absolute honour. Please, if anyone's listening, they're interested, please get in contact. And we'll see you all soon for episode 2.